got a Moto Guzzi V9 and it's a 2021 bobber. This button is not canceling properly, and so I've taken the tank off, which is just this one bolt back here, and they lift up off of these rubber grommets. And then I took these two little plastic wire covers off of the frame, and then I had to take both sides off in order to start getting connectors out. Basically just got to pull on the wires a little bit until the connector exposes itself. And what I can tell from the manual is that the right turn indicator is a 2-pin connector, and then the left turn indicator, I think, is one of these multi-pin connectors. So this one's got 4 wires, 4 pins here, connects to this black guy, and then it's white to white. But these are heavier gauge wires. So basically what I'm going to try to do is open this up and look for wire colors coming off of this turn indicator. Hopefully it's pretty obvious. So looks like a Torx, and we'll see what else we got going on here. 2 Torx, probably one here, one here. All right, so I took those 2 Torx fasteners out. This cover comes off, and then it looks like this whole assembly is still mounted to the handlebar, but got a couple wires exposed. All right, so I'm gonna remove these fasteners to get at the wires. These are T8 Torx. All right, so once you get those T8 fasteners off, this should start releasing. All right, so I unclipped this side of the connector. You see right here with the flathead, and then I rotated this assembly down so I could access the screw with the Phillips head. Okay, so loosening, I think this allows everything to pivot a little bit, just enough so that this whole assembly comes off. And then I'm gonna try to figure out how to get this cover off because the switch wires are not super accessible. So I took this screw off, tiny little Phillips heads, and then the 2 around this traction control button. And now in order to get this Phillips head, which is going to this die-cast outer shell, gotta use the Phillips head, just basically get a longer shaft so you can avoid this as part of the assembly. And we'll see what happens. I pried this mode switch off using the V of this plastic tool. Just kind of came off. Okay, and now this whole cover comes off. It's looking like, okay, so this is the tapped hole for the Phillips head we accessed with the flathead, and then the other Phillips heads were actually part of this sub-assembly. So these 2 Phillips heads probably weren't necessary to remove, and probably this guy wasn't necessary either. All right, so now to get the turn signal accessible, there's a Phillips head here, and here, and here. Looks like. Okay, so I took those 3 screws out, and now this whole horn and turn signal sub-assembly comes off. Okay, so it actually looks like there's a little rubber, what is this? Grommet. There's a sub-assembly here. So it must be something with the center switch that is not working. So this is the cancel. So I'm gonna go and pin these wires. Now that I know the colors, well, sort of. I'll just do trial and error with the colors here, and we'll see what we can come up with. Okay, well, I stripped a little bit of wire, and it turns out it's working. Come on. So I'm wondering if And the red and the black, basically the center one and then ground, I assume. Wonder if it's either this module or something mechanical is wrong. So I'm gonna see if it works canceling just by pushing on these buttons with the ignition. Okay, make sure you connect the connector again, but it does seem to be working. So I think it's a mechanical problem. And basically, it does look a little finicky. Where is it? So when you turn, it pushes a white peg, and then I don't know why it doesn't spring back. I guess the actual switch springs it back. But then when you go to cancel, come on, got this thing. There's this pin at the base here, and this center thing that doesn't. All right, well, it seems to be working now that I've just basically reinstalled the switch onto that little sub-assembly with the 3 Phillipses. I'm wondering if, like, when this switch rocks, it might have actually, maybe when it's pushed in and it rocks, it might have like flipped over that center contact and it got stuck on the tapered component of this switch. That's my guess, unless there's a computer problem. As this thing is on for a couple of minutes or something, it stops showing, but it seems to be working. So I think just be careful not to push in and rotate, or I should say push in and pivot, because it might flip over that little contact and create a problem.